Hello, Jessica. This is Roy's mother. Do you have a moment to talk? Oh, of course. What can I do for you? I thought it was about time we got together to have a discussion about Roy's estate. His estate? Don't you think it's a little bit too soon for that? It's only been a week since his funeral. Yes, I'm aware, but it's a discussion that we need to have, and the sooner the better. I'm not sure if Roy ever told you this, but he should have left a sizable amount of money to me. That boy was always good to me, and this was his final act of filial piety. I'm planning on using the money to have a pleasant and relaxing retired life. I see. So you were planning on your son's inheritance to finance your retirement. Also, Jessica, I think you should know that I have every intention to not allow one single penny of Roy's money go to you. What? You had to see this coming, dear. I heard about everything from Roy. The two of you were about to be divorced when he passed away. Am I right? Well, yes, I suppose we were. Well, then that settles it. What right could you possibly have over Roy's money? Roy is my son, and you're little more than a former roommate of his as far as I'm concerned. I will not let you have his estate. Did Roy happen to tell you the specific circumstances of our divorce, or did he leave that part out? Isn't it obvious? You were a complete failure as a wife. You used him for his money, and you never paid him any of the attention or affection he deserved as your husband. You may have cheated my son out of some of his hard-earned money while he was living, but I will not let you steal from him now. Is that so? And that's all I have to say. Now pack up your things and be out of that house by this evening. Seriously? I'm dead serious, Jessica. The house you are living in belonged to Roy. He built it with his own money, his name is on the title, and now that he's gone, that house belongs to me, his mother. There's no fighting this, Jessica. It's all written very clearly in his will. The house is mine. I'm going to be moving in there as soon as possible, which means you need to leave as soon as possible. Take all your things, leave all of Roy's, and be out of that house by sundown. And I know if you take anything of Roy's, so don't even think about trying to steal his things. Ugh! Don't be such an immature brat, Jessica. You can't seriously be planning to try and stay in that house, can you? Since you are about to divorce him and move out anyway, I'm sure you already had arrangements made for another apartment or something. So there's no reason for you to stay there. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't really need this house. Good, then it's settled, and we have no more reason to talk to each other. But seeing as the house is getting foreclosed on today, I don't think you'll be able to enjoy living there for very long. What? Foreclosed? I'll talk to the bank to tell them that you'll be the one to hand over the keys to them. But you'll need to sign over the deed to them by tonight, so make sure you bring a pen. If you ask them nicely enough, maybe they'll even give you an hour or so to take in some of your memories of Roy. What are you talking about? Hi there, Jessica. Hope you're doing well tonight. Thanks again for everything you did with my brother's funeral. I really appreciate it. Hey there, Steph. Don't mention it. By the way, did you get over the fever you caught after the funeral was over? How are you feeling? Oh, that? Nah, I'm totally fine right now. I've been over that for days. I bet I just overexerted myself. I was already burning the candle at both ends with my work lately, and then in the middle of that I had to deal with my brother's funeral. Wow, it must have been a really hard time for you then. I'm glad you're doing better anyway. It wasn't too bad. I bet it was way harder on you than me. I know that a lot happened between you and my brother, but I want you to know how grateful I am that you gave him a proper funeral, even after all of that.
It's no problem at all, Steph.
And by the way, my main purpose for messaging you right now is because I heard that my mom has been pestering you with texts lately about my brother's estate. Is that true?
Yeah, kinda. Is she actually still living in that house right now?
Yes, she is. Unbelievable. I don't know what she's thinking. It's like she's completely oblivious to everything that's happened over the last few years and her part in it. My dad says it's like talking to a brick wall trying to talk sense into her these days.
Oh boy, I wish there was a way I could help.
Well, that's actually the second thing I wanted to talk to you about. I know this is sudden, but are you free at the moment? If possible, I'd like to meet with you in person. There's a number of things I'd like to talk to you about, including what to do next about my mom.
Yeah, I'm totally free tonight. I'm staying at the hotel that's right next to the bus station downtown. If I recall correctly, your house isn't too far away from here, right? We could either meet at your house or my hotel's lobby, whichever is best for you.
I'll go ahead and head over to your hotel. I remember where it is. Thanks. See you then.
Good morning. What can I do for you?
Don't give me good morning. Some people from a real estate agency just came by and said if I don't leave the house soon, they're going to call the police and have me arrested for trespassing. According to them, the house is actually in your name. That's the first I've ever heard of that. Why didn't you tell me? You already sold it to them? You owe me an explanation.
Wait, you really didn't know about all that? I guess maybe Roy was planning to tell you about everything once it had been finalized, but it seems like he could have at least told you the bare minimum.
Hurry up and explain what you did.
Just make sure you're aware that Roy and I were planning to get a divorce when he died, right?
Yes, and what of it? What does that have to do with you stealing my house and selling it without my permission?
I'm getting there, calm down. Next, were you aware that the reason we were getting divorced was because Roy was cheating on me?
He was?
So you didn't know. Well, he was cheating on me, so I sued him both for the damages related to the affairs as well as for a divorce. Roy was lavishing his mistress with gifts, designer handbags, shoes, vacations, you name it. And in just the span of a year, our total savings declined from around $100,000 to just $1,000.
He spent that much in a single year?
Now, one major problem for Roy was that the money he spent came out of our joint savings account. So he had spent tens of thousands of dollars of savings that were also mine without my permission on his illicit affair. Ordinarily, in this sort of situation, I'd have the legal right to demand he return every single penny of that money to me. But I was also fully aware that he had no means with which to repay it, and I was eager to not have any interactions with him anymore after the divorce. So, our lawyers talked it over, and in the end the compromise we decided on was this. I would agree not to sue Roy, to have him return the money he spent on his mistress, and in return I would receive the house, as well as all the furniture and appliances in the house. It was at that point that he transferred the deed over to me, and I sold the entire thing to a real estate company the very next day.
How could you do such a thing?
The real estate company was actually super understanding about everything, and they agreed to let me stay in the house until Roy's funeral was over.
You sold my son's house! I can't believe you! That was the only thing I had to remember him by.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame your son for being a cheater. None of this would have happened if you would have kept his pants on. If only he had not slept with that woman, we wouldn't be getting divorced, and he wouldn't have exhausted all of our savings on her. So, yeah. I don't see how I did anything wrong in all of this. It's all Roy and his mistress's fault.
Yes, you're right. It's all his mistress's fault, that vile woman. If she hadn't seduced my poor, innocent Roy, then none of this would have ever happened. Who is that vile harpy? Tell me her name. You must know who she is, don't you? I'll go find her and give her a piece of my mind for the terrible fate she brought upon my poor Roy.
I don't think you need me to tell you her name. You already know her. She's one of your friends.
What? What are you talking about?
It was Nancy Johnson.
No, not Nancy.
How long ago was it? Maybe 2 years ago or so? You were going at me in your usual way, telling me I'm worthless and that Roy deserves better than me, when you said, I know, I'll just have to find him a woman better than you. Sometime after that, you brought the darling Nancy Johnson, the daughter of one of your friends, over for dinner. And within just a few days of that dinner, the two of them began their nearly 2-year-long affair.
That can't be true!
Oh, and one more thing. You seem to be under the wrong impression about Roy's will. More specifically, you're under the impression that he had a will at all. He didn't. And since he had no will, by default his estate is passed on to his legal heir.
I know that. Everyone knows that. That's exactly what I'm saying. As his mother, I'm his next of kin, and so I'm the one who gets his estate.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but since we were still married at the time of Roy's death, I was still his legal wife, and thus I am his next of kin, not you.
What?
And I mean, besides, even if you were to inherit his estate, how much do you think it could really be worth? He didn't just waste our joint savings account on his mistress. He even blew through the savings he had from when he was single. So I don't know what you were expecting, but at this point he doesn't have much of an estate at all.
Oh no.
When going through his stuff the other day, I looked up his bank accounts, and none of them had more than a few dollars in it.
I don't believe you. You're lying!
Well, if you want some proof, I can give you all his bank cards and passwords, and you can check them all out for yourself. And if you're still intent on trying to claim that for yourselves, you're more than welcome to have your lawyer contact mine and discuss the issue. What do you say?
Enough of this already! I get it.
Oh, well that's good. Be sure to have all your things moved out of the house by sundown tonight.
Tonight? You can't do this to me, Jessica! Jessica? Where are you? I just stopped by your parents' house, but they weren't living there anymore. When did they move? Where are you?
My parents' house? They haven't been living at that house for over a year now. In any case, why are you at my parents' old house?
I'm looking for you, of course.
Me? Why would you be looking for me at my parents' old house? It's way too far away from my job. I'd have like an hour-long commute every day.
Then where are you? Tell me!
I don't see any legitimate reason for you to need to know where I am right now. If you need anything from me, you can ask my lawyer.
Just tell me where you are this instant. I mean it!
If you must know, I'm staying with a friend for a while.
What friend? Give me the address of the house, Jessica. That's an order.
Not a chance. Why would I? You and I are nothing anymore. I'm not your daughter-in-law. You're not my mother-in-law.
Nonsense. Of course you're still my daughter-in-law. Even if Roy has passed away, nothing changes the fact that you were married into this family, Jessica. I'm still your daughter-in-law, whether you like it or not. And as my daughter-in-law, it is your duty to provide me with the financial support. Where did you hear that from? Some weird Facebook group or something? No, I no longer have any duty, morally or legally, to provide you with any support of any kind. You're not getting anything out of me. Don't run away from your responsibilities to me. Were you listening just now? The moment that Roy died, our legal marriage was dissolved, so I no longer have any legal connections to you whatsoever. Is that clear? I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore, and even if I was, I still would do everything in my power to not have to provide you with any support. You're terrible! I don't deserve to be treated this way! After everything you've done to me over the years? You deserve way worse from me than this. You're lucky I didn't sue you for emotional abuse. So no, I'm not going to give you the address for my friend's house, who is even less of a connection to you than me. Now just leave me alone! I never want to speak to you again for the rest of my life. You can't abandon me. What am I supposed to do now? Oh, right. Your husband divorced you the other day, didn't he? How do you know that? I heard the whole thing from Steph. It was quite the story. I didn't even know about this at the time, but the night that Roy got into that car accident, he was on his way to see his mistress, Nancy, wasn't he? Your ex-husband found out about that. And he also found out that you were the one introducing the two of them. Boy, was he shocked to hear that. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when I let the two of them know that you introduced them in hopes that Roy would leave me and get married to her. Once he heard that, he couldn't take it anymore and filed for divorce the very same day. He kicked you out of the house. And when you tried crawling to Steph for help, she cut you out too. Aren't you in a predicament? But there was no way I could have predicted things would turn out like this. I'll give you that much. I wouldn't have seen it coming either if I was in your shoes. But then, if I was in your shoes, I don't think I'd be going around encouraging my son to have an affair, and also actively bringing him women to have affairs with. Please, Jessica, you have to help me. Why? Because I have nowhere else to go. My parents are long dead, and I have no siblings. Don't you remember your wedding vows? You promised to love my son, for better or worse, richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, right? Who cares about legal connections? You're my daughter-in-law. We're eternally bound through your marriage to Roy. I know we can get along well, you'll see. Did you forget the whole "till death do us part" bit? Or that you were the one who pushed Roy into his affair, which led to the ends of both our marriages as well as his life? Well, or that you were constantly verbally abusive to me throughout the entire time I've known you? Lucky for you, your son's good-for-nothing wife is officially out of your hair forever. Jessica, you have to give me a place to live. That's an order. No. Jessica? I'm blocking you. And if you ever try to contact me again, I'll get a restraining order put out on you. Jessica! Goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your life. After that, who do you suppose my ex-mother-in-law went to for help? None other than Nancy Johnson, the woman she pushed into my husband's arms. Personally, I've gotten over her affair with Roy, partially because of the passing of time and partially because I'd already received a massive judgment against her for the affair. But it seems as though my ex-mother-in-law wasn't quite over it. She stormed in the house and screamed at her, saying, "If you hadn't made my Roy spend so much money on you, he would have had some left over for me." And then she started breaking every breakable object in sight. It's honestly kind of impressive how well she avoids placing even the smallest amount of blame for the situation on Roy, but I digress. In the end, Nancy ended up suing her,
and winning a hefty judgment for the damage done to her house. So, now my ex-mother-in-law is stuck with being a 70-year-old divorcee, working whatever odd jobs she's physically capable of in order to pay it off. Part of me feels bad for her, but that's a very, very small part of me. Most of me just feels like she got what was coming for her. Karma always wins in the end. Oh well, none of that is any concern of mine anymore. Now I can finally get back to enjoying a nice, peaceful life with my fiancé. We're getting married next month.
Hello? Veronica, are you there? Did you still not clean the toilet? Oh, despicable. Why do you think it's acceptable to ignore me? I want answers. Let me tell you, young lady, it's seen as basic good manners for people like you to see to it that the toilets are sparkling shiny in time for those of us with actual contracts at this company to arrive for work and not have to feel grossed out every time we want to go do our business. Wait a sec, are you for real? Are you kidding me? Oh, you didn't clean up the area around my desk either? God, what are you playing at? Why did they even hire you if you're incapable of doing even the most basic things? Good morning, Danita. It was your turn to clean the toilet today, right? It said so on the rota. You know, the one the manager wrote and that we all signed. It'll be my turn next week, so I'll do it then. Huh? Besides, isn't desk cleaning the responsibility of the person whose desk it is? I've never heard anything about having to clean up after you. Huh? At least that's what everybody else at this company does. Think about it, people usually have important documents in and around their workspaces, so things could probably go wrong if we all went messing around with each other's desks. If anything, I think most people who work here would be annoyed if someone tried doing that. Huh? Do my eyes deceive me? Am I, a full-time employee, seriously being talked back to by a lowly part-timer? Ugh, disgusting. You make me want to vomit, you insolent little worm. The toilet cleaning rota decided on by the managers has nothing to do with being full or part-time, Danita. If you didn't want to do it, or didn't agree with the order, then why did you sign it in the first place? Gah, that's it. I've had it with your cheek. You listen to me, and you listen good, young lady. This might be difficult for a no-good, wet-behind-the-ears part-timer with zero life experience and an IQ lower than my shoe size like you to understand. But in the world of work, there are such things as hierarchical relationships, and you're at the bottom of one. I'm a full-time employee, and you're a lowly part-time good-for-nothing. That clearly makes me your superior, and means you have an absolute moral duty to do whatever I tell you at all times. How do you expect to make it anywhere in the world if you don't even understand something this basic? I suggest you learn your place if you want to succeed in this company, dear. Now, if I make myself clear, go and make up for your despicable, insolent behavior and scrub those toilets until they're so clean I could eat my dinner off them. Oh, and I will be checking. Sorry, but I'm about to head out on an errand for our department manager. Excuse me? Apparently he needs something urgently. He told me to head out to the hardware store for some supplies. No, but the toilets! Like I said, it's not my turn yet. You're on toilet duty this week. I'll clean the toilets when it's my turn to do so, as should you. This whole system is predicated on each of us doing what is expected of us without having to be told by anyone else. So if you have any respect for the rules at this company, please go and pick up the toilet brush and get to work. Thanks. Ugh, how dare you! Alright, I'm heading out to the hardware store. Catch you later.
Veronica, are you okay?
Darren? Okay, how do you mean?
It's about Danita, that new employee. I got a secret report from the manager on the situation at the office. Apparently, she still thinks she's superior to you because you work part-time. From what he told me, it sounds like she's being super disdainful and disrespectful towards you. God, it made my blood boil just listening to it.
Well, yeah, she is. But I'm only a short-term worker here to cover a temporary manpower shortage. So it's not like I'll be around much longer.
Sure, but is that any reason for her to make the time you do spend here so unpleasant? How about you just come out with it and make it clear that me and you are engaged? I'm keeping it quiet at work for the time being because you didn't want me to tell anyone, and I want to respect that. But Danita's attitude is disgusting. I don't know where the hell she gets off on thinking she can join a company and start treating its employees like dirt on the bottom of her shoe.
Yeah, but still, she's the only one in the office who acts like that. Everyone else is super kind and a joy to work with. In 2 weeks' time, she'll be nothing more than a distant memory. But if we let the cat out of the bag with our engagement now, I have a feeling we'll cause nothing but confusion for everyone else at the office. Besides, we already agreed with the department manager, Dave, we were going to let everyone know about our engagement on the last day of my temp contract. It's fine, babe, really. I'll be able to tolerate her somehow or other until then.
I'm sorry. I wish I could be around at the office more to stop her. Believe me, she would not get away with any of this crap if I was around. For the time being, I've told Dave to keep a closer eye on things.
It's fine, honestly. She isn't hurting my feelings as much as you seem to think. Sure, she can be annoying, but I can take anything. She usually gets bored when she realizes she can't get a reaction out of me. As with anyone like her, the best policy is to ignore. Don't worry about me, okay?
Alright, if anything else happens, I want you to tell me immediately.
Got it. Thanks, Darren. Hey, Veronica, you know it's the CEO's wedding in 2 days, right? Huh? Sure, I know about that. That's why you're gonna stay behind at the office and be on phone duty. Phone duty? But the company's gonna be closed that day, so the phones will automatically go to voicemail. What good would having me on phone duty do? Are you ignoring a direct order from a full-time employee? Do you have any idea about how the world works? It's not like a lowly part-timer like you would be invited to the CEO's wedding in the first place. So if you won't be at work and you won't be at the wedding, you won't have anything to do, right? I doubt someone who's still working part-time at your ripe old age could possibly be interesting enough to have any hobbies or a social circle. Well, if I was to say whether I'm invited or not... You're not, are you? I knew it. Like hell someone like you would get invited to the wedding of the most superior man at this company. Keep dreaming. All right, that settles it. You can come into the office on your own for phone duty. I want you in at 6 a.m. pronto, manning those phones like a good, obedient little part-timer. Hey! What the hell are you doing at the CEO's wedding? You're nothing but a lowly part-time odd job girl. Who do you think you are coming to the CEO's wedding like this? And in a white dress? Oh, have you well and truly lost your mind? The only person who gets to come to a wedding in a white dress is the bride, you moron. It's called common sense. You're not invited, and you have the nerve to show up at the CEO's wedding wearing a white dress? Oh, how lacking in basic common sense can one person be? Not only that, but the direction I just saw you walking in, isn't that the area where the bride waits before she walks down the aisle? Oh my God, are you plotting to crash the CEO's wedding? No way. Are you gonna try and steal him from his bride on her own wedding day? You are sick in the head. You're scary. You have to be stopped. Anyway, didn't I tell you you'd be on phone duty on your own at the office today? This kind of idiocy is exactly why you're still doing part-time moron work and still haven't managed to become a proper full-time employee like me. Ugh, looks like it's down to me to save this wedding. Don't worry, dear. You'll have no choice but to go home when I'm done with you. Prepare yourself for what's coming. You have no idea about the hell that's about to be unleashed on you, Missy. Don't say I didn't warn you, bitch. I spilled red wine all over your white dress. Thanks to my heroic efforts, the CEO's wedding is saved. I'm the hero of the day. Ooh, I wonder what I'll get. The CEO is going to be so grateful when he hears what I did. I wonder if I'll get a cash prize, a new car, a promotion. Or maybe it'll be that luxury holiday to the Bahamas I've been wanting to go on all these years. Oh, I'm so excited. Danita? Where the hell did you get that wine from? I brought it here myself. It was supposed to be a wedding present for the CEO. I never expected I'd end up using it to save the day from a psychopathic wedding crasher hell-bent on stealing the CEO from his new wife, but hey, life can be strange sometimes. That dress you just poured wine all over, it wasn't mine. I was borrowing it from someone. Huh? Oh, who cares? That's not my problem. You should be more concerned about why you're so mentally deranged. Do you think it's acceptable to show up at a wedding no one invited you to, pretending to be the bride? You're in the wrong here, so pay the cleaning costs yourself. The bottom line is that you need to get the hell away from this church and leave the CEO alone to have his wedding in peace. Go home, weirdo. There's something you should know. What? You weren't invited to this wedding, Danita. Huh? You might not have noticed, but there are no regular employees here today. It was only ever intended to be a small ceremony, and the only people who got invites were those of the department manager rank and above. I find it hard to believe you were sent an invitation letter by accident, which can only mean you showed up and invited yourself into the church without permission. Huh? An invitation letter? What are you talking about? How about you stop spewing nonsensical crap and disappear from this church like everyone here wants you to? You really want me to go home, don't you? Yes, and quickly. You should know that if I do, this wedding will almost certainly be called off. Huh? Okay, goodbye. Veronica! Come back, please! You have to come back to this church right away! Please, come and finish your wedding! I had no idea about any of this. I had no idea you were the CEO's fiancé all along. I had no idea that today was your wedding day. That's strange. Because there was a gathering and an announcement at the office 5 minutes after you came at me with all that nonsense about me having to be on phone duty on the day of the wedding. I gave a little speech in front of everyone to thank them for my time at the company and say my goodbyes, since my temporary contract was coming to a close, and then I announced my engagement to Darren. Huh? Come to think of it, you were playing around on your phone at the back of the room while I was talking. You weren't listening, were you? OMG, I saw you talking, but I figured you were only talking about your time at the company coming to an end. Who in their right mind would want to listen to a wishy-washy thank you speech? I had no idea it was something so important. Anyway, forget this crap. You need to come back to this church right now. Why's that? That wedding dress you were wearing was a new designer by the CEO's mom, a famous fashion designer. Apparently the launch of the new dress was supposed to be officially announced after you guys got married. Oh, that's not all. Apparently the media were here to film it. The reporters are so angry. They say if the wedding gets canceled, they won't be able to shoot their piece on the dress. Please, I'm begging you, please come back. Please get married. I can't do that. Why not? Because the wedding dress, which was supposed to be the central focus of the journalists' coverage, is so drenched in red wine that it's now completely unusable. Oh my God. As for me, I'm currently at the hospital with Darren's mom, who fainted from the shock of seeing the brand new dress she spent 3 years and $150,000 designing being drenched in red wine by some unhinged lunatic she'd never seen before in her life. You're at the hospital? I'm leaving everything involving the wedding to Darren back at the church. If you have anything to say for yourself, then I suggest you do it there. Would you stop that? I need you to stop it with the phone calls. This is bordering on harassment now. I already have 255 missed calls from you. Oh, thank God you finally replied. Would you cut it out already? But the CEO! He said I'd be responsible for all of the costs to the wedding after he canceled it. He even said he was going to take me to court and file for compensation, including for the money that went into making the dress. There's no way I can afford to pay all that. It's going to come to hundreds of thousands. How can he expect me to pay him when I don't have any money? Oh, that's not fair, and it makes no sense. What does any of this have to do with me? You're the CEO's wife. You have to negotiate with your husband and make this all go away somehow. Please, I'm begging you. If I'm not careful, I might end up losing my job over this. To be honest, I think that's already a done deal. I somehow get the feeling that ruining the CEO's wedding during your trial period at the company automatically excludes you from working with them ever again. What? Why? Think about it. Even excluding what you did after you arrived, the fact you showed up to his wedding without an invite in the first place is pretty reprehensible. Huh? But I'm a full-time employee. I thought it was fine for full-time employees to show up. Who told you that? Seriously? Then there's the wedding dress. You totally ruined the masterpiece work of craftsmanship that the CEO's mom went to great pains to make over the course of several years. You got the wedding canceled. In doing so, you even caused major problems for her fashion business. You can't seriously think you can screw this many things up for so many people and get let off the hook without facing any consequences. That's why I'm messaging you right now. This is it, Veronica. It's your time to shine. You can use your position as the CEO's wife to get me off the hook and ensure nothing bad happens to me as a result of my silly misunderstanding. Yeah, that's right. That's all this was. I didn't mean to upset anybody. You'll do that for me, won't you? You'll convince everyone this was all just a huge misunderstanding, won't you? Please, pretty please with a cherry on top. Why the hell would I do that? Why? I have no idea why you think I, of all people, would have your back after everything you did. Did you forget how awfully you treated me this whole time? But let me be clear, I am taking you to court just like my husband is. What? You have zero allies here. Now, if you carry on messaging me like this, you're just gonna piss me off even more, and I'll be forced to bill you for even more compensation. So if you have anything resembling a brain inside that skull of yours, you'll leave me in peace. But... Goodbye.
Oh, Veronica, good news. It looks like the wedding dress can still be saved after all.
Really?
My mum had a stroke of genius after she pulled herself together after being discharged from the hospital. Apparently, she's going to redesign all the parts with stains on with new fabric. She's adamant the dress is going to be even nicer than before.
Wow, I see. Well, of course I'm happy about the dress, but that your mom's fine and back to good health is what's really important here. Oh, what a relief.
Anyways, as for the rescheduling of the wedding...
Yeah?
It'll lead to it being delayed a little longer, but how would you feel about us splurging out and holding a truly epic ceremony overseas?
Huh. Overseas? But I've never been abroad.
That's why I'm suggesting it. How cool would it be if you got married on your first time ever leaving the States? We can still do a small unofficial ceremony with a banquet and whatnot locally for the guests who can't make it abroad. We can still do a small unofficial ceremony with a banquet and whatnot locally for the guests who can't make it abroad for the ceremony itself. But I thought it would be nice if we could do the real thing somewhere completely new to wash off the trauma of the unfortunate outcome of our first attempt. So, what do you say, babe? Should we be bold and adventurous and have the ultimate fairy tale wedding?
Darren...
Come on, babe. The suspense is killing me here. What's it gonna be?
A fairy tale wedding sounds perfect.
Alright, let's get started on the preparations once things have settled down with that little legal problem we need to deal with. After that, we can finally get to work on planning the rest of our lives.
Sounds good. Got it. Hey, Darren? Thank you for everything. You're the best husband, fiancé, man. You're the best man a woman could ever hope to have.
Veronica. No. Look, thank you. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you, babe. Meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you.
We left everything to do with Veronica to our lawyers after that. Surprisingly, she did actually seem to have some awareness that she'd done something wrong, so she accepted her firing from the company humbly and without complaint. But I can't say the same for the compensation. She was insistent she couldn't afford to pay because she had no money, and surprise, surprise, she was already in a bunch of debt from a cocaine habit she'd been keeping quiet from everyone. On top of the civil charges, I also filed criminal charges with the police for what she did to my dress. I told her I was willing to settle out of court, but that it wasn't going to be cheap. All in all, the charges mounted up to a fee so large she couldn't even find a loan shark willing to lend her the money. Realizing that in all likelihood she genuinely didn't have the money, I showed up outside her parents' house and explained the situation. After that, they very kindly agreed to help her come up with the money somehow. Of course, by help, they didn't mean pay it for her, and she will be expected to pay them back every cent after the debt's fully paid off. Apparently, Danita's currently juggling 3 part-time jobs, working like a dog under the surveillance of her parents in a desperate bid to try and come up with the money. However, rumor has it she's already universally hated by everyone at all 3 companies due to her abrasive personality, and spends her days in abject loneliness while being the butt of every joke and forced to clean the toilets.